Hi everyone, welcome to day 11 of 12 days of Canva. Today I'm going to show you frames and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the kind of troubleshooting with frames and some things to think about as you're using a frame. So often I hear from people that they want to use a frame but their photo is not fitting in it properly and it's maybe stretching it. I want you to think of your frames as a container, and if you have a square container, you can only fit so much of a rectangle in it. If you have a square hole, really hard to put a circular object into that square, right? And so think about the frame that you choose and the graphic that you choose, and if a frame is the right choice. So let me show you what I mean. So let's first go over to Elements, and I've already, because I do it a lot, I've already searched for frame. So I'm going to type frame up here at the top in the search window, and it's going to show me all of my different frame choices. So a frame I use quite a bit are some of the technology frames. I like this one and I like this one. And I use both of these quite a bit. The other one that I use is this one, right? So if I have a frame, and this one is a vertical rectangle, I'm going to be looking for a vertical graphic to go in it. So let's say that I'm going to search Apple. Oops. And you'll notice that it kept me in frames because that's where I just was. So I'm going to go over to Photos, and it's going to show me all my photo choices. So I want to find a graphic either that is vertical or one that I can cut off the sides and I'm not going to lose too much of my graphic. So for example, this one, while this is a horizontal graphic, if I pop it into my frame, it really just cuts off the sides, which are a little less important in this particular example. So the way that I take it out of the frame, there are two ways. The first way is just to hit delete, but then you have to go back to the photo and reinsert it. The other way is just to right click on it and say detach image. Now if I put it in this one, that seems to fit a little bit better. It does keep those sides because I've got a horizontal graphic or image with a horizontal frame. Now this one's even skinnier, so I'm going to detach that. And so if I pop it in here, you'll notice that it really, I'm going to move these out of the way, it really cuts off both sides. It even cuts off part of my apple. So this probably isn't the best frame to use this for. So a question I get asked a lot is, can you make the graphic smaller? You can't. A frame is a container. It has edges on it, and you can't make the photo, you can't drag this handle in and make the photo smaller in that container because it wants to fill the whole container or that whole frame. I can make it bigger, right? But in this case, that doesn't help me any unless I'm like, want a picture of a tree. So you want to think about the frame that you're using and then that container, or I'm sorry, that image that you're using and the frame that you've chosen, and are they kind of compatible? So where I run into the most of the challenges with this is when I have something like this and I want to put a screenshot. Now screenshots are interesting because a lot of times when you take a screenshot, it really depends on your resolution of your monitor and your screen. So when you come into your uploads and you upload that screenshot, here's a good example. Here's one on, this is a slide actually from situational leadership. You'll notice it fills that space because this screenshot was a little too small. And so it wants to kind of expand and fill that space. In that case, I either need to pick a different container or a different frame, or I need to place this on the frame without basically snapping it in. And here's a trick that most people don't know. Hold down your control key on your keyboard and it won't pop it in there. So if I hold down my control key and I click and drag it in, I can land it there without it snapping into the frame. And then what I can do is I can potentially change the color of that background. So in this case, I want it to be white. And now I've got this picture. Now again, if I move it around, it wants to snap in there. I'm going to hold down my control key so that it doesn't snap in there. And now I can make it look like it fills the screen, but it's not going to cut off some of my screenshot. So that's a bit of a trick. You can also drop video into some of these frames as well. So I've got, right now I've got a frame of letters. So if I search for letters, oops, I'm in Elements. And I search for letters, I'm going to go again. It's showing me photos and graphics. I want to see frames. Then I have all of these different letter options. So I can pick a letter and bring it over. I can resize it how I want it. And then I can go in and I can search, let's just say cat. And I'm not looking for a frame. This time I'm looking for a video. So let's find a cat video. And then I can drop that cat video into a frame. Now this can work really well if you have let's say a cat video and I spell out the word cat, and then when I play it, it'll play the cats, and if I space them right, I can make it look like it's all one graphic filling my letters, which I've done up here. So on this one, what I've done is I've got the word apple. So if I delete these, I've got the word apple out of frames, and I'm going to go back to my photos, and I'm going to search apple, and let's go find the apple graphic that I used. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control D on my keyboard, and I'm going to do it 5 times. So I've got it 5 times, and I'm going to drop it into, there we go, each letter. Now when it drops it in, it's actually going to drop it in so that in pretty much the same position. So if I want to get creative here, I can move this one so that it's all the way to the left side. And then I can open this one and I can basically line it up with the shadow I see underneath it, almost so that this picture is going to continue and looks like it's one picture. I gotta scoot it over just a touch more. There we go. So now this apple almost looks like it's connected between those 2 letters. Then on this one, I might want to, I probably can't get it quite as far over there, so I'm going to start it over. And then in this case, line it up here. And I can almost make it look like it's the same image. And I can kind of play around with that. I could also make all of these images larger. All of these images larger, and I could line them up that way as well. So there's a lot you can do with sort of frames. I think the biggest thing to remember is if your graphic is always going to try and fill the frame's space. So if you have a smaller screenshot or a smaller graphic that you're trying to put in a frame, it's going to fill the space and it may cut things off. So you might have to cheat like I did up here and not really use the frame in this case. Or you can, manipulate it a little bit so that, or take a new screenshot so that you have a better resolution. So those are some tips around frames. You can create frames if you are over here looking in frames and you're looking for something specific, and you scroll through here and you can't find a frame that you're looking for, you can create your own frames. So if you have an object that you want to create a frame for, you do that over in PowerPoint, and then you can actually bring the frame in and create your own. We cover that in our Canva course, and it's super fun if you want to really stretch your creativity. So I hope you enjoy, and we have one more day. It's been great sharing all of this with you so far, and I hope you have a wonderful day.